In this video, I challenge the very definition of success you have been force-fed since childhood. You believe that being number one is the ultimate goal, the pinnacle of human achievement. But I am going to show you why for those born under Life Path 1, this designation is not a trophy, it is a terrifying primal burden. If I fail to convince you, you can continue believing your loneliness is a personal defect. However, if you listen, you will realize it is merely the cost of entry. Imagine a vast pitch-black void. Nothing exists. No sound, no light, no form. Suddenly, a singular spark ignites. It screams into existence, tearing through the silence. This is the energy of the One. It is raw, masculine, aggressive, and undeniably singular. Because it is the first, it has no reference point. It has no ancestors to guide it, no peers to comfort it. It is entirely, devastatingly alone. This is your soul's blueprint. You did not come here to follow a map. You came to hold the machete that clears the path for everyone else. Therefore, from a very young age, you likely felt a strange separation from your peers. While they found comfort in the herd, you found the herd suffocating. You felt a restless energy, a drumbeat in your chest that marched faster than the world around you. But here is the tragedy of the primal spark. Fire consumes. Because you possess this intensity, you unintentionally scorch those closest to you. You try to dim your light to fit in, to stop intimidating people, but this only leads to internal implosion. The universe tasked you with initiation. You are the battering ram. The problem is, being the battering ram hurts. You hit the wall first. You take the impact. And when the wall finally crumbles and others walk through the breach you created, they rarely look back to thank the one who broke their bones on the stone. This is the first layer of your loneliness.
Because you learned early on that relying on others leads to disappointment, you developed a psychological armor, extreme independence. This isn't just a preference, it is a survival mechanism. You tell yourself, if I want it done right, I must do it myself. This mantra becomes your religion. But this religion has a steep tithe. The more competent you become, the more people step back. They see you handling the weight of the world with such apparent ease that they assume you don't need help. Therefore, they stop offering. You interpret this lack of assistance as abandonment, confirming your original bias that you are truly alone. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy of the highest order. You become a fortress. Within this fortress, you are safe. You are the king or queen, but the halls are empty. The Life Path 1 struggles deeply with the word vulnerability, because vulnerability implies a crack in the armor, and in the wild, a crack means death. You view life as a battlefield rather than a garden. On a battlefield, you cannot ask for a hug, you can only ask for ammo. But the human soul cannot survive on ammo alone. This creates a deep, hidden depression within the One. You are celebrated publicly for your strength, your career achievements, your can-do attitude. Yet privately, you collapse. You stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m., exhausted not by the work, but by the relentless pressure of holding up the sky. You crave intimacy, yet you push it away the moment it threatens your autonomy. You want to partner, but you often choose people who need saving, turning the relationship into another project where you are the leader and they are the follower, reinforcing the dynamic that keeps you lonely. You are trapped in the role of the provider, the captain, the savior.
When the pressure of independence becomes too great, the Life Path 1 energy distorts. It curdles into its shadow form, the tyrant. Because you move at lightning speed, you develop an intolerance for those who move slowly. You value efficiency over empathy. When others fail to see your vision or drag their feet, you don't just get annoyed, you get cruel. The One rules the head, not the heart. You begin to steamroll people. You justify it by saying, I am doing this for the greater good, or we need to get to the finish line. But in your rush to the summit, you are leaving bodies on the slope. This is where the loneliness shifts from tragic to self-inflicted. People begin to fear you. They agree with you not because they believe in you, but because they are afraid of your sharp tongue and your withering gaze. You may not even realize you are doing it. You think you are being direct. They experience it as verbal assault. Therefore, the circle around you grows wider and colder. You stand in the center, demanding loyalty, but you receive only compliance. Compliance is not connection. This shadow side is often born from a deep-seated insecurity. Deep down, the one is terrified of being wrong. If you are wrong and you are the leader, then the whole mission fails. The stakes feel apocalyptic. So you grip the steering wheel tighter, your knuckles turning white. You refuse to delegate because delegation requires trust, and your trust account is bankrupt. You micromanage, you criticize, and you dominate. But dominance is the loneliest form of relationship. A king without a council is just a man shouting at an empty room. This tyranny inevitably leads to a coup, either by your subordinates, your partner, or by your own body shutting down from the cortisol overload.
To understand why the life path 1 behaves this way, we must look at the psychological root. In numerology, the 1 is associated with the sun and the masculine principle. This almost always points to a complex relationship with the father figure or authority in early life. Perhaps the father was absent, forcing you to become the man of the house before you were ready. Or perhaps he was a tyrant himself, and you learned that the only way to survive was to be stronger than him. Or conversely, he was weak, and you vowed never to be pathetic like that. Because of this wound, you have an intrinsic issue with authority. You cannot be managed. You cannot be told what to do. If someone tries to control you, you rebel with disproportionate force. This makes traditional employment a nightmare for many life path 1s. You are unemployable not because you lack skill, but because you lack submission. Therefore, you are forced into entrepreneurship or freelance work, which brings us back to the isolation. You are the boss, but being the boss is lonely. The father wound also drives an insatiable need for validation that you masquerade as ambition. You are trying to prove to a ghost that you are worthy. You climb mountain after mountain, hoping that at the next peak you will finally feel enough. But the ghost never claps. This drive is fueled by a fear of insignificance. You are terrified of being just another face in the crowd. You need to be unique, distinguished, the one. But until you heal this wound, you are not a pioneer, you are a fugitive running from your own childhood. You are running a race that has no finish line, looking for a trophy that doesn't exist.
There comes a moment in the life of everyone where the engine seizes. You have pushed, pulled, dragged, and fought your way to what you thought was the goal. Maybe you sold the company, achieved the status, or won the argument. You stand at the precipice of victory. But instead of a symphony of joy, you are met with a deafening silence. This is the crash. It is the realization that achievement is not love. It is the realization that autonomy is not peace. The burnout hits you like a freight train. Your body, ignored for years in favor of your ambition, goes on strike. Your relationships, neglected like unwatered plants, have withered. You sit in your empire of dirt and weep. This is the dark night of the soul for the life path 1. It is a crisis of identity. If I am not the winner, who am I? If I am not the leader, do I even exist? The vulnerability you ran from finally catches you. You feel small, fragile, and utterly human. This is the most dangerous moment for you, but also the most necessary. Because it is only in this complete breakdown of the ego that the true light can enter. You realize that your strength was actually rigidity. You realize that your independence was actually fear. The one must be broken to be remade. It is the sword being forged. It must be heated until it is soft before it can be reshaped. You are in the fire now. It hurts. You feel like you are dying. In a way, you are. The false self, the armored protector, is dying. And for the first time, you have to ask for help. The words taste like ash in your mouth. I can't do this alone. That sentence is the key to your liberation.
To rebuild, we must look to the celestial ruler of the number 1, the sun. Think about the physics of the sun. It is the center of our solar system. It holds everything together with its gravity. But notice this. The sun does not chase the planets. It does not beg them to orbit. It simply is. It burns with its own internal fusion. It gives light and warmth unconditionally. It doesn't look down at Earth and say, "You owe me for this sunlight." It shines because that is its nature. This is the evolution you must make. You have been acting like a spotlight, frantically pointing at things you want to control, burning out your bulb. You need to become the sun. You need to anchor yourself in your own worthiness, independent of your achievements or your control over others. When you stand in your true power, authentic, vulnerable, and radiant, people will naturally orbit you. You won't have to force leadership. It will be a byproduct of your existence. But here is the catch. The sun needs the planets. Without the planets, the sun is just a lonely ball of fire in the dark. Gravity is a relationship. You must accept that you are part of a system. You are the center, yes, but a center implies a circumference. You need others, not to carry you, but to receive you. Your light is useless if there is nothing for it to shine upon. This shift from conquering the world to warming the world is the turning point. You stop fighting the darkness and simply become the light. The aggression softens into assertiveness. The dominance softens into radiance. You realize that a true king or queen empowers their subjects. They don't subjugate them.
This transformation requires a change in metaphor. You have spent your life thinking you are a general. A general sees terrain to be captured, enemies to be defeated, and troops to be commanded. But the evolved one becomes a gardener. A gardener also leads. They decide what to plant and where. They clear the weeds. They protect the crop. But, and this is critical, they cannot force the flower to bloom. They cannot command the rain to fall. They must work with nature, not against it. They must have patience. They must nurture. This is the hardest lesson for the Life Path 1, patience. You want it now. The gardener knows that everything has a season. By adopting the gardener mindset, your loneliness dissipates. You are no longer fighting the world, you are cultivating it. You begin to see the potential in others not as a resource to be exploited, but as a seed to be watered. When you help others grow, they don't become threats to your authority, they become a testament to your leadership. The isolation of the pinnacle is replaced by the connection of the ecosystem. You realize that true innovation isn't just about the new idea, it's about preparing the soil so the idea can take root. This requires humility. It requires getting your hands dirty in the soil of human emotion. You have to listen. You have to care. You have to slow down. The general is respected, but the gardener is loved. And deep down, past all the ambition and the armor, love is what you have been starving for all along.
Does this mean you lose your edge? Does this mean you become passive? Absolutely not. You are still the one. You are still the pioneer. But your definition of the first step changes. The first step is no longer about leaving everyone behind. The first step is now the act of courage to be the first one to forgive, the first one to speak the truth, the first one to show vulnerability, the first one to break the cycle of trauma. This is a much harder form of pioneering. Climbing Everest is easy compared to healing a generational wound. This is the burden of the first step redefined. You are the cycle breaker. You were born into a lineage of pain or dysfunction, and your soul signed a contract that said, "It stops with me." That is why you are so strong. That is why you are so independent. You needed that strength to survive the break. But once the chain is broken, you don't need to carry the bolt cutters forever. You can put them down. You can use your hands to build instead of destroy. This redefinition gives your suffering meaning. Your loneliness wasn't a punishment, it was a quarantine while you mutated into something new. You had to be separated from the herd so you wouldn't be infected by their mediocrity or their resignation. But now that you have mutated, now that you have awakened, you must return. The hero's journey is not complete until the hero returns to the village with the elixir. If you stay on the mountain, you become a hermit. You must bring your fire back to the people. But this time, you don't burn them with it. You light their torches.
In numerology, we often look at the next number to find the cure. The cure for the 1 is the 2. The 2 represents partnership, diplomacy, sensitivity, and intuition. The 1 often despises the 2 energy, seeing it as weak or overly emotional. But the integrated one embraces the 2.
This is the sacred marriage of the masculine and feminine within you. You stop seeing asking for help as a weakness and start seeing it as a strategic alliance. Even the greatest kings had advisors. Even the greatest captains had a crew. When you allow the two energy in, your life softens. The jagged edges of your personality are smoothed out. You sleep better. The constant adrenaline hum in your nervous system quiets down. You find that you can achieve more by doing less because you are leveraging the collective power of a team rather than relying solely on your own battery. This requires trust, and trust is terrifying for you. But remember, trust is not knowing that someone won't betray you. Trust is knowing that even if they do, you will be okay. You are a life path 1. You are unbreakable. You have survived 100% of your bad days. You can afford to risk trust. When you integrate the two, you become the benevolent leader. You are firm but fair. You are visionary but grounded. You are alone at the top, perhaps, but you are connected to the base. You become a conduit between the sky and the earth.
So we return to the image of the pioneer on the cliff. The storm is raging. You are holding the torch. Yes, it is cold. Yes, it is lonely. But look behind you. Look at the path you have carved. There are footprints filling the trail you blazed. There are people warming themselves by the fires you lit. They may not know your name. They may not understand the cost you paid. But they are safe because you walked first. They are inspired because you dared to stand. This is the burden, and this is the glory. You are the life path 1. You are the tip of the spear. Do not pity yourself for the scratches you endure. Wear them as medals. The world needs you. It needs your stubbornness, your vision, your refusal to settle. It needs you to take that first step into the void. But promise me this, once you have stepped into the void and found the solid ground, you will build a bridge so you are never that lonely again. Your destiny is not just to lead, it is to unite. You are the one, but you are part of the all. Go forth, pioneer. The world is waiting for your next move, but this time, don't walk alone. Check the link in the description to understand the full map of your soul, because even a pioneer needs a compass. You have the fire. Now go find your hearth.